I wasn't supposed to be here, but here I am, living proof that sometimes the impossible happens. I'm Mary Burrell, a hospice survivor who found purpose in the fight and a voice in the struggle. This podcast is my way of keeping it real, sharing raw, honest conversation about survival, hope, and what it really takes to rebuild your life when you get that second chance. Whether you're navigating your own health battle, caregiving for someone you love, or just need a reminder that you're not alone, this is a space where we turn struggle into strength and stories into something powerful. Because a second chance isn't just about survival, it's about stepping into your purpose with everything you've got. Podcast is more than just conversations. It's a testament to survival, resilience, and the reality of rebuilding after a second chance. It's about navigating health challenges, the weight of caregiving, and the power of community. Through storytelling, we connect through advocacy. We raise awareness, especially for tricuspid valve health and women's heart valve health. And through community, we create a space where no one feels alone in their journey. You'll hear solo episodes where I lay it all out, alongside powerful interviews with patients, caregivers, and advocates who walk this path. Together, we're breaking the silence, shattering misconceptions, and making sure no one faces the journey alone. This podcast speaks to women 20 to 65 and older, caregivers, hospice survivors, and patient advocates facing heart valve challenges, caregiving, and the journey of resilience. Health conscious individuals and medical professionals drawn to patient stories, advocacy, and groundbreaking therapies like the EVOQUE. Heart valve health, especially for women, is more critical than ever, yet too many remain unaware of key risks like tricuspid valve disease, despite cardiovascular disease being the leading cause of death for women in the U.S. This podcast meets the urgent need for awareness, advocacy, and real patient stories, filling a gap where women's heart valve health and rare conditions are often overlooked. With over 80% of podcast listeners seeking authentic, relatable content, now is the time to create a space that educates, inspires, and connects women navigating heart valve health challenges and caregiving. The pilot episode, Hope Starts Here, Four Voices, One Mission, kicks us off with the medical breakthroughs, advocacy, and caregiving, showing how innovation, support, and resilience can transform the patient experience. Future episodes will explore the raw realities of hospice, life after the delicate balance of caregiving, while also being a patient navigating clinical trials and embracing medical innovations. Through advocacy and education, this podcast empowers listeners with knowledge and connection. Each 15-minute episode delivers compelling stories, heartfelt interviews, and actionable insights, creating a space for inspiration, resilience, and real conversations. By sharing raw personal stories with a focus on tricuspid valve awareness, a condition rarely highlighted in mainstream media, this podcast creates a space for real conversations about life diagnoses, caregiving, and medical breakthroughs. As both a survivor and a caregiver, I bring a firsthand perspective that's both deeply personal and universally relatable. This podcast goes beyond storytelling. It builds community by offering actionable insights, collaborating with advocacy groups, and amplifying listener voices to create a real connection and inspire hope. I'm looking to partner with sponsors, advocacy groups, and organizations passionate about heart valve health, caregiving, and patient advocacy. Through sponsorships, guest appearances, and co branded campaigns, we can work together to raise awareness and make a real impact. To support the podcast, I will incorporate sponsored content, ads, and listeners' contributions through platforms like Patreon. Down the line, I hope to introduce merchandise that strengthens our community and sustains this mission. More than just a podcast, this is a space for all of us where listeners can share stories, ask questions, and engage with experts. It's about building supportive community that lifts each other up. Hope starts here. Four Voices, One Mission is just the beginning. Follow the podcast on YouTube and share it with someone who needs a little hope and inspiration. Let's build this community together. You can reach me via email info@maryburrell.com. My website's at www.maryburrell.com. And you can reach me with social media on Instagram and Facebook as Second Chances, as Mrs. Avocado, or on LinkedIn as Mary Burrell. Hope isn't something we wait for, it's something we create. Tune in into the pilot episode and hear how four voices came together with one mission to inspire, connect, and prove that even in the hardest times, hope is always within reach.
Welcome to This Needs to Be Said, the podcast where we have real conversations about the topics that matter most. Today, we're thrilled to feature a special edition hosted by Mary Burrell with her segment, Heart to Heart Talks with Mary Burrell. Mary's mission is to inspire and empower others to become their own healthcare advocates. Drawing from her own personal healthcare nightmare, she knows firsthand the importance of not giving up, even when providers tell you there's nothing wrong. Her journey taught her that sometimes you have to dig deeper and demand the answers you deserve. Join Mary now as she shares from her powerful story and provides valuable insights to help you take charge of your health care and well-being. This is a conversation you don't want to miss. Hi, Mary. How are you?
Hi, Catherine. Thank you so much for that introduction. First, I just want to say how grateful I am to be here sharing this space with you and everyone listening. This podcast is something I never imagined I'd be doing, but life has a funny way of surprising you. As Catherine mentioned, my story is a bit unique. Going from hospice care to where I am now feels like a miracle I'm still trying to process. But I've learned that these experiences are for us to share, to help others know that they're not alone, and to create connections that truly matter. I'm a tricuspid valve regurgitation survivor, a walking, talking miracle. I've been through the uncertainty, the fear, and the fight that comes with living with heart valve disease. And I've come out the other side with a passion to share my story and amplify the voices of others on this journey. This podcast is about heart to heart conversations and sharing the real stories behind heart valve disease, education, and innovation. Stories that inspire us, challenge us, and celebrate the incredible people making a difference. What's a story without the people who've helped shape it? I'm not here to talk about myself. I want you to hear from some incredible people who are changing lives every day, people who've inspired me and who might inspire you too. For our pilot episode, I can't wait to introduce you to three incredible people who each bring a unique perspective to the table. This episode is about surviving and the challenges that we face, the breakthroughs that give us hope, and the moments that remind us why we fight to keep going. Welcome to Heart Talk with Mary Burrell. My voice, our story. Pull up a chair and join us. First up is Karisssa Charles, the Executive Director of Heart Valve Voice US, a patient advocacy nonprofit organization that's dedicated to improving health outcomes for individuals living with heart valve disease. Karisssa and I connected through our shared passion for patient advocacy, especially in raising awareness about heart valve disease. Her nearly 10 years of experience in public health leadership, patient education, and program development make her well suited to lead the organization. Under her leadership, Heart Valve Voice continues to advocate for patients, aiming to improve the diagnosis, treatment, and management of heart valve disease across the nation. What's a story without the people who've helped shape it? I'm not just here to talk about myself. I want you to hear about I want you to hear from some incredible people who are changing lives every day. People who've inspired me and who might inspire you too. For our pilot episode, I can't wait to introduce you to three incredible people who each bring a unique perspective to the table. This episode is about surviving and the challenges we face, the breakthroughs that give us hope, and those moments that remind us why we fight to keep going. So pull up a chair and join us. My first guest today is Karisssa Charles. She's an executive director of Heart Valve Voice US, a patient advocacy nonprofit organization that's dedicated to improving health outcomes for individuals living with heart valve disease. Carissa and I connected through our shared passion for patient advocacy, especially in raising awareness about heart valve disease. Her nearly 10 years of experience in public health leadership, patient education, and program development make her well suited to lead the organization. Under her leadership, Heart Valve Voice US continues to advocate for patients aiming to improve the diagnosis, treatment, and management of heart valve disease across the nation. Hi, Carissa, and thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Mary. Thank you for having me.
We're excited that you're here, Carissa.
Me too.
You've worked in so many areas, nonprofits, research, health education. What made you want to focus on advocacy for heart patients specifically?
So, throughout my career, I've worked on a variety of chronic disease specialties, but advocating for heart patients holds a special place for me. Heart valve disease is often underdiagnosed and undertreated in the US, despite being a condition that's highly treatable if caught early. Statistics currently show that only 44% of patients with clinically significant valve disease are properly diagnosed, and of those, just 34% receive timely treatment. This gap in care means that there are far too many people living with preventable symptoms or complications. Advocacy plays a crucial role in addressing these challenges by ensuring patients and care partners have access to resources, timely diagnosis, and appropriate treatments. Through my work at Heart Valve Voice US, I'm committed to supporting patients at every stage of their journey, whether they've been newly diagnosed, navigating their treatment options, or learning to manage life after intervention. It's incredibly rewarding to know that our efforts are not only raising awareness about valve disease, but also empowering patients and their families to advocate for their own care.
Wow, yeah. Timely treatment really hit home for me. That's,
Yes, I know. I've heard so many stories that time is of the essence, so it's very important.
yeah, it's kind of mind-boggling for me because
Mhm.
it doesn't look like it doesn't seem like it's going to get any better with the shortage
Right.
of yikes. So, Carissa, what are some of the biggest challenges in raising awareness and driving policy changes for better heart valve care?
So I would say one of the biggest challenges is ensuring equitable access to care. So that includes geographic, socioeconomic, and cultural barriers that can make it different for certain communities, especially underserved and rural communities, to receive timely diagnosis, treatment, or follow-up care. Addressing these disparities requires policy solutions that prioritize screening, education, and resources for both patients and health care providers. And on the policy front, heart valve disease doesn't always get the attention it deserves compared to other more high profile conditions. So it takes effort to elevate its visibility and ensure policymakers understand the urgency of this issue. So that's why patient stories are so critical. They help humanize the data behind valve disease and emphasize the real impact this disease has on individuals, families, and communities.
Yeah, access. That's a biggie.
Yes. Hmm.
I had to drive through the whole state of Washington to have access to the care that I needed.
Oh my gosh.
So that
Yeah.
one of the things that primarily is pushing me in advocacy
Hmm.
is um, access.
Right. Yeah. And patients shouldn't have to jump through hoops just to get the care that they need. So we really want to make sure we're addressing that with policymakers to make the appropriate changes.
I'm so excited to be involved in that. Thank you, Carissa.
Of course.
If there's one thing you could tell patients like me about speaking up or getting involved in advocacy, what would it be and why is our voice so important?
So one thing I would share with bowel disease patients is that sharing your story has the power to drive real change. Using your voice for advocacy doesn't always have to be a big or formal event. Sometimes it's as simple as encouraging someone to ask questions about their health or sharing your journey with a friend or family member because you never know what conversation will build awareness or create a ripple effect with someone. So we encourage you to share your story, whether that be on social media, with a friend, even on blogs online. You never know what may happen.
Power to change.
Yes.
If you don't like something, then you have to speak up in order for it to change.
Definitely.
Just has to be a private conversation on one-on-one, or it can be on a platform like social media.
Yes.
As long as you do something.
Yes, that's the important part.
Yes. Carissa, I can't thank you enough for being here and sharing. You never know
Of
who's
course.
listening and needs to hear exactly what you shared. Before we wrap up, are there any final words that you'd like to add?
We would like to share with the audience that if you've not done so already, please visit Heartfelt Voice US website. We have a ton of resources for you if you're just on your journey with bowel disease or if you are a care partner as well. And if you are a part of the bowel disease community, we encourage you to visit My Valve, My Voice. It's an online patient platform for you to connect with others experiencing the same journey.
Awesome. Seriously, thank you again, Carissa, for being here and for showing up in life the way you do. I know someone,
Thank you so much, Mary.
yes, of course. I know someone out there is going to hear this and feel seen because of what you've shared today. So again, thank you for keeping it real and for reminding us why we must keep fighting. So thank
Of
you.
course, thank you.
Next up, I would like to introduce you to Paul Brenneman. Paul is a dedicated research and development design engineer with a passion for overcoming technical challenges to bring life-changing medical devices to those who need them most. With extensive experience spanning the peripheral vascular, neuroendovascular, and transcatheter structural heart spaces, Paul has been instrumental in advancing product development from ideation to commercialization. Woof. His expertise includes designing and optimizing both delivery systems and implants, driving innovation that transforms patient care. Hi, Paul, and thanks for being here.
Hi, Mary. Thank you so much for having me. I am so happy to be here, and thank you so much for that warm welcome. It's so great to talk with you again.
Yeah, I totally screwed this up, Paul.
Oh, you're so good. I mean, those words are not meant to be said. They're meant to be read, maybe, but no one says them. They're way too long.
Oh well, I met Paul at Edward's event when I spoke recently. He actually asked me to meet me afterwards. We've been friends ever since. Paul is the kind of guy who truly thinks with his heart. He asked me questions to better understand my experience so he and his team could push their efforts even further, aiming to help a wider range of patients. That's just who Paul is, always working to make things better for the people who need it most. He's help, excuse me, he's helping to create solutions that mean people like me get a second chance to be ourselves again. Paul, what inspired you to pursue a career in medical devices?
Oh man. Well, I think I would have to go back, but go back to my childhood. I remember my dad was working in medical device and as a kid, I remember staying at home and playing and building things with Legos and he was going off and going to human trials with a medical device, that was designed to bring people back from past the edges of death and you hear these stories. I hear these stories as a kid of, these patients in Paris, and they would, be overdose victims or be in a car crash. And he's coming back and telling me how their medical device, which was a defibrillator, was able to revive them and bring them back and give them that second chance that they didn't know if they would be able to have. And I think that was pretty formative. And then I went off, I went off to Cal Poly, went off to mechanical engineering school, and I remember walking back and forth to class and working through the assignments, and just not sure where it would lead. Medical device was the path my dad went down, and I knew it was an inspiring one, but is it the one that I was going to go down? And I was not sure. And I looked at automotive, I looked at defense, I looked at aerospace, and I looked at medical device too. And I ended up, graduating college and finding a job at a plastic injection molding supplier that made medical device components. And just knowing that that was a rewarding path to follow. And while I was there one day, an engineer from a company came in, a medical device company, and he had this project he wanted me to help him out with. And it ended up going really well. And he posed the question to me, like, you're in the right spot, you should just go work at a medical device company, and you could make such a bigger impact. And I think, I never could have planned it, but he was right. And I ended up joining a medical device company here in Southern California called Microvention, and was working in manufacturing at that time. And we were getting a product out, to people who needed it most. And, after finishing that project, moved over to the research and development side and started working on bringing the next generation technology out, and found that so rewarding. And now I'm with Edwards Life Sciences working on a transcatheter structural heart replacement valve called the EVOQUE, which treats tricuspid regurgitation disease. And it's just such a rewarding field. And working with the team and getting to meet the patients, I just couldn't be happier and couldn't be more grateful to be, working and trying to make the world a better place.
Yes, I am so grateful for you and the rest of the team of Evoke, because that's exactly why I'm here today sharing my story, is because Evoke is keeping me alive. So thank you for that.
Well, they did an absolutely incredible job, and we're so grateful for you, Mary, and we're so grateful, just that you're sharing your story and that you're doing all that you can do to move the industry forward. So thank you for being so inspiring and for creating the change and for moving us all forward.
Thank you, Paul. That was sweet. I have another question for you, though. What do you find most rewarding about the work that you do?
Oh, so engineering, I mean, engineering is, it's so fun. We get in there, we get these challenges, and, we have this end goal, we have this vision in sight. We need this next generation therapy, but you have these hurdles along the way, specific to medical device development. Maybe it's developing a new technology to produce, a certain component, or maybe there's a new method of doing something, and you get these challenges. And I think what I find most rewarding about it is that there are challenges that might sometimes feel impossible, and that's because maybe they are impossible for any one individual to overcome on their own. And what I find most rewarding is if we can recognize with each other, that we all have a different view of the world, we all come with different strengths, and we all can contribute uniquely. And, at times, maybe one person's gonna have an idea that solves someone else's problem, or someone's gonna give someone some encouragement to help them get through something they didn't know they could get through. Or, together we can create this environment and we can celebrate failure, we could celebrate individual contributions, and together we can get through those hurdles. And when we do that, we advance the therapy, and we get get this next generation out to people who need it most. And it's the process of coming together and doing something as a group that we couldn't be doing as an individual. That's what I love most. I love that. I love creating that environment, and I love being a part of it, and I love reaching that end goal of moving the therapy forward.
I love that. Teamwork always makes the dream work in anything you do.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. I love how you said it.
Okay, so hmm, what keeps you going when the hurdles seem to solve too hard to solve?
Oh, and that happens. That happens frequently. And, when we're just not sure, things that keep us going, honestly, Mary, it's you. It's hearing from our patients. It's seeing that these therapies, they transform people's lives. They bring people back from the brink of death. When I would see my dad going out and their medical device was literally resuscitating people who had passed. Or in your case, you are sharing so much about how it has shifted your entire worldview, and you're so grateful for the world, and you have this life, glow within you that is so inspiring, and you have a perspective to share, and it is one that we shouldn't waste any day, and that we should make the impact on the world that we want to make now, because there is no reason to waste that time. And it's just so inspiring, and seeing you and patients who receive our devices, that's what keeps us going. It is just the most inspiring thing, and together there's no challenge that we can't overcome. It's just going to take some inspiration, some hard work, and some vision, and we'll get through it, and we will advance technology. That's the dream.
Wow. Wow, that's pretty heavy to be laying on you. Wasting time means basically people are dying.
That's right. It is. It is. There's no time to waste. People are sitting with no options, and we need to be helping them. We need to be doing everything we can immediately. And in the same token, we need to be doing everything that we can to make sure that the devices that we produce are going to function, and they're going to function every single time. And that means it can't happen immediately. We have to go through all the processes. We have to do all the development work that's necessary to ensure the safe and effective use. And we need to do that as fast as we can, because people are depending on it, and we need to get it out there. But it's meaningful work, and it's so rewarding to be in a field where you feel like you truly can see that impact. And thank you to you for being so inspiring and for sharing your story. It really makes it, so rewarding to be doing. And I appreciate you so much. You're so wonderful.
Thank you, Paul. Um, it's a passion now of mine, thanks to Evoke. I appreciate you so much, Paul. I can't thank you enough for being here and sharing so openly. You never know who's listening and needs to hear exactly what you shared. So thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I think, like you said, you don't know who's listening. If I were listening, if I was that college student, that third year, first year, he didn't know where I was going at the time, which I didn't. I would just say, you don't need to know. You don't need to be an expert in everything. You don't need to have it all figured out. But you just need to know that the perspective you bring, the talents you already have, are enough to make the world advance. It's that quote with Steve Jobs, like, the world was built by people no smarter than you. We are all unique, and together we can make the world a better place. And hopefully someone out there hears that, and it keeps them going, because they're truly special too.
Absolutely. Seriously. Thank you for being here and for showing up in life the way that you do. I know someone out there is going to hear this and feel seen because of what you've shared today. So thank you for keeping it real and for reminding us all why we keep going.
Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that so much. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Last up, but certainly not least, is my husband, caregiver, and tag team partner in life, Louis Burrell. He's been through his own battle with cancer twice, but that hasn't stopped him from being my rock through everything I've faced. He makes me laugh on hard days and reminds me why we keep going. Life hasn't been easy for either of us, but together we've figured out how to hold each other up, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Caregivers like Lewis go through so much, yet their stories often go untold. They're the silent warriors, juggling their own struggles while showing up every day. They sacrifice sleep, time, and well being to advocate and comfort and fight for those they love. We celebrate patience, but caregivers deserve just as much recognition. Their stories do matter. Hi and welcome, Lewis. Thanks for joining us today.
How you doing?
Good, good. So, Lewis, being a caregiver isn't something anyone really prepares for. What was it like for you to step into that role, and how did you figure it out along the way?
Good question. It's a lot, to be honest. No one knows what they're doing at first, and I definitely didn't have a plan or a clue. You just kind of dive in because the person you love or the person you care for, they need help. You make a lot of mistakes, you get frustrated, but over time you figure out what works, what helps you, what helps them, and you just take it one day at a time. It's the original OJT kind of thing. You learn as you go. There's no guidebook, so you figure it out on the fly.
Mhm. I chuckle about that because literally we did, or I should say, you did learn on the fly. Crash course in caregiving. Okay, so Lewis, what is something about caregiving that people don't talk about enough? What do you wish more people understood about what it's really like?
That's a good one. People don't talk about how draining it is, not just physically, but emotionally. It's exhausting in ways you can't really explain, and you're not really prepared for it. You know, the guilt you feel when you get frustrated or when you need a break. I wish people understood that caregivers are just regular people trying to do the best for the people we care about. We need support too. Sometimes it's as simple as, sitting with us over coffee, going to the gym, doing a little quick shopping, a little time to recharge can make a big difference. Self care is important also.
It is. I agree. Um, Looking back, is there something you wish you had known earlier that could have made the journey easier for both of us?
Yes. I wish I knew it was okay to ask for help earlier. I thought we had to handle everything ourselves, but the truth is, no one person can do this alone. It's whether you're calling in family, leaning on a friend, or just, finding someone to vent to. It's not a sign of weakness, it's just smart. And I wish I had found out that there are caregiver resources sooner, stuff like support groups or even just a tip on managing the emotional roller coaster because it's kind of like, wow, what is all this? And, it's chaos until you kind of like, get a grasp on it.
Yes, yeah. Is there something else that you'd like to add before we end our session?
Yes, caregiving is, a part of, life. And, but also a part of life is you got to take care of yourself because you don't realize how important people are in your life until they're not there. And if you're not there in your best and taking care of yourself, uh, it makes life a lot more complex. Take care of yourself. Self care is important.
I love that. That's a great way to end this segment. Lewis, I can't thank you enough for being here. Not just being here with me today, but for showing up in life every day the way you do. I know someone out there is going to hear this and finally feel seen because of what you have shared. So thanks again for keeping it real and reminding us why we keep going. From my heart to yours, another day down, and here we are, still showing up, still pushing forward, and still proving that hope is stronger than fear. If there's one thing I've learned on this wild journey, is that none of us are meant to do this alone. So whether you're here for support, knowledge, or just a reminder that someone out there gets it, know that I see you and I'm grateful for you. I hope this podcast resonated with you, sparked a thought, or made you feel a little less alone. And if it did, please hit reply and share your thoughts. I truly love hearing from you. Remember to take care of yourself and extend the grace you deserve. You are stronger than you think you are. Let's keep this conversation going. If this episode struck a chord, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe so you never miss another episode. Leave a review because when we come together, we spark change in a world that needs to hear our voices. And share it with someone who might need to hear this today. Your voice matters and your story is powerful. And together we can make some noise in this world that needs to hear us. Let's stay connected. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Second Chances as Mrs. Avocado, LinkedIn as Mary Burrell, and my website, www.maryburrell.com. Until we meet again, keep pushing forward, let your heart be your compass, and trust in the strength within you.